word coming in from the top boss at Sun Pharma on their recently announced Organon deal. Remember, it is a massive acquisition that gives them access to the women's health segment as well as newer geographies. Let's take the conversation ahead. We have Mr. Vishal Manchanda of the Systematix group joining us on the show. Vishal, good afternoon and thanks for your time. And what a turn of events it has been, right? We've spoken about Dr. Reddy's. In fact, our conversation was going to be based on that. And ever since last week, you have pharma under the spotlight. Before we address everything that's happening with Dr. Reddy's, let's first put the spotlight on Sun Pharma, the most recent news we've heard in terms of their acquisition. Your thoughts about this acquisition, the kind of value unlocking that it will do for the company going ahead, and more importantly, the valuation at which it is being taken place?
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. So I think the valuation is an orbit-changing acquisition for Sun Pharma. It will put them at a very different scale. It's going to kind of double their revenues, double their EBITDA. And top of this, we might also see meaningful cost synergies helping growth. So I think the acquisition value is also very reasonable. They have acquired this at almost 6x EBITDA, which gives them a lot of comfort. As far as the debt to EBITDA of the combined entity is concerned, that's going to be around 2.3x, and I think they can address, they can kind of quickly reduce the debt over the next 3-4 years, probably be net debt free. I think a very meaningful acquisition for Sun Pharma, and we would also see EPS accretion coming through from the first year.
Okay, EPS accretion from the first year itself. Mr. Manchanda, afternoon, Ashesha this side. I understand that it is perhaps too soon and the con call has just concluded, but have you already modeled this portfolio and the kind of gains that it will enjoy in your model, and any change in estimates that you're penciling in from the brokerage community?
Yeah, I think so. I think my pro forma EPS is kind of, I can see a very steep jump in the consensus earnings that can happen because of the acquisition. I think Sun, probably the consensus EPS currently without Organon is about 65 rupees per share. And under various scenarios, I think the FY28 EPS can go to around 90 to 110 rupees per share, a large range, but there is significant EPS accretion that we expect from the deal.
So that sounds very good in terms of what this deal can do for Sun Pharma. But I'm also understanding that this Organon buyout, it helps Sun Pharma's entry into the entire biosimilar space. What is the potential of growth over there? Any numbers if you can help us with?
I think biosimilar structurally is a very large opportunity that's going to keep growing every year. The small molecule generic opportunity is largely exhausted, and we don't have really triggers to kind of build that business. Biosimilars business will scale up as an opportunity that's going to grow every year. So we'll see large number of patent expiries happening, and you need to be in that space. If you want to build your business in the US or on the generic side, you need to be on the biosimilar side. So this gives Sun a direct access to this area where they have been lacking. So we'll have to just see how well they in-license products and how well they scale those up. As a space, it is attractive. We'll have to see how they execute on it.
Vishal, in terms of how complicated this product might be, the offerings that Sun Pharma will now be able to add to its portfolio, what is the chance of holding on to the market share that they have right now, and any threat of competition now that they're entering this biosimilar space as well?
So I think biosimilar space is evolving, and there is regulatory landscape is also evolving there. We are potentially seeing interchangeability guidelines becoming relatively less complex. So basically, companies can seek interchangeability status that potentially reduces the entry barrier in terms of the commercial infrastructure that is required to enter into the biosimilar space. So in a way, that's not positive for Sun Pharma because we potentially can see more competition in the biosimilar space in the US going forward.
Right.
But yeah.
Understood. So that's as far as Sun Pharma is concerned, clearly the stock of the day. But Mr. Manchanda, also wanted your thoughts on Dr. Reddy's, because there was this buzz that perhaps the company could receive semaglutide approval in Canada. Your thoughts on this?
I think on semaglutide, they said they got a drug identification number, which based on some guidance document that we went through from the Health Canada regulator website, we understand that a drug identification number is generally granted when the regulatory scrutiny is largely done. Uh, and potentially an approval is likely, but we haven't seen such instances in the past as far as Canada market is concerned, whether all drug identification numbers that are granted, do they translate into approvals or not? So it seems like, although like looking at various things, to me it appears an approval should come through in the next 1 or 2 months. And probably if DRL is the first player on the market and they have a meaningful if there are no other players getting an approval, it can be a meaningful opportunity for DRL in the next 6-9 months.
Okay, and I'm just trying to understand the financial implication of this. How should we look at pricing and margins in terms of the Canada foray as and when it happens for Dr. Reddy's?
So it all depends on the extent of competition that we would see in the drug. If we have there are 6 filers on semaglutide in Canada. If maybe like 3 or 5 of those also get an approval along with DRL, probably the price erosion will be steeper and the opportunity to kind of make money will be lower. I think the best case, what I can see is if DRL is the only one in the early phase, maybe for the next 2 quarters, they probably the market is about $1 billion in the US, the semaglutide market. They can probably come at a 30% discount to the innovator price, and then maybe a 25% share. So a meaningful opportunity there, right? About $150 million is what they can realize over 1 year from launch.
Okay, perhaps that will be a game changer for Dr. Reddy's going forward if at all the approval is received over the next 1 or 2 months. Mr. Manchanda, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now and helping us understand everything that's happening in the pharmaceutical space, one sector that has been abuzz for the last several days. But on that note, we need to slip into a very short break. We'll discuss many more buzzers on the other side. Don't go anywhere.